Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is day 143, July the 26th, 2017. Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wow. I listened to Trump's rally today in Youngstown, Ohio. And then when I got home I checked out some video. And it's just amazing that throughout all the abuse that Trump has taken with the attacks by the deep state, he is still just as popular as ever. And of course, I mentioned this to you about 3 or 4 videos ago when I was looking at an aggregate of polls that showed that he's remained right between 40 and 45% for the last 6 months or so. So he really hasn't taken much of a hit at all with his own supporters. His base still strongly supports him, and you could see that today in his speech in Youngstown. It was a great speech. Very motivational speech, and while he didn't take my advice and go totally broken arrow, he certainly did on a couple of occasions point out some issues with Republicans. He didn't target anybody by name, but he certainly did raise the issue of the fact that they better get on the stick and take care of business and get busy with that legislative agenda, or they're going to be paying a price for it. And I expect that he'll continue this type of rhetoric. And, it was probably very well balanced. He's not afraid of them. He's not afraid after pointing them out. But he didn't go quite as far as I would have recommended he goes and do the broken arrow scenario. But anyway, it was a rousing speech. The audience was rowdy. They were doing the USA chants. It was just like back during the campaign. I mean, it looked just like, July of 2016 instead of July of 2017. Big crowd, highly motivated, lots of chants, USA chants. He hit some of the same stuff he always hits with the media and things like that, and continues to get great responses. And, these rallies, I think, are real important for him. And I think he should go out and do a rally every week. He should just go to some place every week and stay really close with his supporters, because they definitely have his back, and he needs to know that. And as long as he can go out and see that his base is with him, it's an empowering thing, especially when you're under attack like he has been. And it also shows you that all the efforts made by the mainstream media, by the deep state, have had little to no effect. As far as the people who supported Trump, they still support him. In fact, maybe more now than ever. And you also have a lot of the progressives who have actually, they're not supporting Trump, but they are more and more hostile towards the Democratic National Committee and the Democratic Party. And we saw this recently with the CNN clip. If you haven't seen it, I think it's a Mark Dice video, which Mark Dice does a great job. But there's a video clip where the CNN host is taking calls from people. And he had like 7 or 8 Democrat callers right in a row tell him, get off the Russia thing. Nobody believes it. It's a bunch of BS. It has nothing to do with any of the problems we have. What do you stand for? What do the Democrats stand for? I mean, this is exactly, and he was just literally blitzed. I mean, the guy didn't know what to think. He was not expecting that sort of response. CNN has invested a great deal of their capital into pushing this Trump-Russia narrative, and it is not produced for them. It has not. It's been a loser. So great to see Trump out there. It was funny because I was talking about the fact that he should go out and do rallies last night. I didn't even know he had one planned. So today, as I'm getting ready to leave for work, they come on the radio and say they're going to interrupt the broadcast to carry Trump's speech. And I thought, wow, he's giving a speech, great. And so I got out to my car and tuned in and listened to it all the way home. And wow, it was pretty awesome. Okay, so that's the first item up today. The next item up is something we talked about yesterday, but now we have a new update. It appears that Iwan was arrested on Monday night as he was attempting to flee the country. He was arrested at Dulles International Airport and charged with bank fraud. He also was forced to surrender his passport. This is being reported by Fox News Capitol Hill, which is like their kind of Washington online FoxNews.com site. It is also suspected that Iwan was Iwan is also being suspected of using blackmail. Now that's very interesting. Who would he be blackmailing? Well, probably them Democrats whose emails he's had access to. And remember, we had the story reported back several weeks ago that it appears that he had also downloaded and saved, copy, pasted, whatever, data and emails and information from the tablet computer of Debbie Wasserman Shultz. So not just her DNC computer at work at the DNC, not just her stuff in the Congress, but her personal tablet computer. He's also was able to get into her tablet computer. And so when they're talking about blackmail, you remember I asked the question yesterday, why is Debbie Wasserman Shultz protecting Iwan? Why is she not fired him? Why is she trying to get these devices back that were taken? And I was suggesting that maybe he has some information. Remember, information in Washington, D.C., especially if it's negative information in Washington, D.C., can be a very powerful weapon. It can also be very profitable if you're in the blackmail business. And I'm sure that there's a lot of dirt on Debbie Blabbermouth Wasserman Shultz, and maybe Mr. Iwan has been blackmailing her. Maybe that's why she's been trying to protect him. Now, what will be very interesting is to see what Mr. Iwan does now that he is in custody. Will he decide to cut a deal? Does he have damaging information on Debbie Wasserman Shultz and Democrats? What does Iwan know? What does he know? What information does he have? And what will he do with that information? He's looking at some serious crimes. Bank fraud. Bank fraud's a serious crime. I mean, they prosecute financial crimes way more than they prosecute any other type of crime. You'll go to jail for life for a financial crime. You can kill somebody and get out in 7 years. You defraud somebody, you may never get out of jail. Money crimes. You'll do some hard time for money crimes, and that's what Mr. Iwan is looking at, as well as other things probably. And he probably has some information which could be very damaging. I imagine he'll be contacting Debbie Wasserman Shultz. Will be his first phone call. He'll be saying, hey, they got me, and I don't like being here. You and your lawyers better get busy. Otherwise, I might decide to get busy. Anthony Scaramucci, he's a very good man, the brand new press secretary. I've always liked Scaramucci. He is a bare-knuckle fighter, take no crap sort of guy. What I like about Scaramucci is he's a guy who started from very modest means, and he worked himself up through, I believe he went to Harvard, but he wasn't a trust fund kid. He wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's just a smart, tough guy who has earned everything he's got, and he doesn't take crap. He's a lot like Donald Trump. He's got the same type of personality. You hit Scaramucci, he will hit you back twice as hard. And it's a principle I live by, as does Mr. Trump and as does Mr. Scaramucci. So I think we're about to see a whole new type of relationship between him and the press. So the very first thing he did when he had his first meeting is he addressed his entire team as the new press secretary, and he laid down the law. He said, if anyone leaks a thing, I'll fire every damn one of you. Another leak out of here from this group. I'm not going to play around trying to decide who did it. I'm just telling you, another leak from any of you, I'm firing every damn one of you. That's hardball, and it works. Believe me, it's called peer pressure. Because now, the people who want to hold on to their jobs, who probably know who the leakers are going to start talking. They're going to start saying, hey man, I really don't want to get fired. Tell the boss that I'm good, man, that I don't leak anything, but that, I think I might know who is leaking. This is exactly how you flush out the leakers. You tell everyone that their ass is on the line, and pretty soon, the people who just been trying to stay quiet and stay out of the fray realize that their neck could be on the chopping block. They're not going to go down because of what someone else does. They're looking for self-preservation. They'll do exactly what people do. It's human nature. They're going to save their necks. They're not going to lose their job because someone can't follow the rules. Mr. Scaramucci's laid down the law. Another leak out of you people, I'm firing every damn one of you. And he started right away by setting an example by letting it be known that he was going to fire his assistant, Michael Short, the assistant press secretary. But as soon as Mr. Short heard about it, because he wasn't in the room, he immediately resigned. So he found out he was going to be fired, and he resigned because they have reason to believe he has been part of the leaks. So he got out of there before Scaramucci could get to him and fire him. So you want to set a good example? That's exactly how you do it. You fire the number 2 man under you, and then you tell the rest of these people that they're all going to be fired if there's another leak. I think that should calm down some of the leaks. It will also help expose some of the leakers. Very good man, Scaramucci. Things will definitely improve. Next, Donald Trump did an interview with Wall Street Journal, and they asked him about firing Sessions, and he said, quote, "I'm looking into it." Now, I don't laugh because I think it's funny that Jeff Sessions would be fired, and I don't really, gloat in the fact that Jeff Sessions may be fired or is likely to be fired or what have you, and I believe he will be fired. But I think what Trump is trying to do is he is trying to give Sessions the opportunity to resign. I don't think Trump wants to fire him. I think he wants Sessions to resign. And I think what he's probably going to do is he's been tweeting about this now for about a week. I think he'll spend the rest of this week, maybe the weekend, tweeting similar type of things, suggesting that Sessions should probably resign. Hopefully, I guess he's trying to send him a very strong message like, hey man, I really want you to resign. I don't want to fire you. I just resign. It's better than being fired. But, if Sessions doesn't get the message that, he needs to resign, then I think Trump will most likely fire him. I give Sessions probably, either way, I give him probably no more than 30 days. If he's still around a month from now, I'll be very, very surprised. I think they're going to bring the pressure on him and the president personally to let it be known that they would like his resignation. And I think if he doesn't do it within the next 30 days, probably less, that he will fire him. I do believe he will. And I don't think he'll enjoy doing it. I think he likes Sessions. I think personally he likes him. And all that type of stuff. It's just the fact of the matter is he made a mistake. He recused himself. And I know a lot of people say, well, he had to. It was the law. No. I've looked at that law. And it's nitpicking. In principle, on the basis of facts, Jeff Sessions did nothing wrong. Period. He let the pressure get to him and he caved in. He got weak in the knees. And now he's in a situation where he cannot do his job. Very simple. I don't hate Jeff Sessions. He just made a mistake, in my opinion. And even if he didn't, even if he did the right thing by recusing himself, what he should have done was just resigned. Because now he's in a situation where he cannot do his job. He cannot be effective. And also, he's cracking down on the medicinal marijuana, which Trump is a supporter of. He's talking about the forfeiture thing, going after forfeitures, bringing that back. And nobody likes the forfeiture laws. Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians. There's not a lot of people that love that. Cops love it. Municipalities love it. But the people don't. And politicians, whenever they are broached on that issue, they generally understand very well it's not a popular position to take to support the forfeiture, especially when they can do the forfeitures without there even being someone even charged with a crime or convicted of a crime. They can literally pull you over, and if they see money in your wallet and they say, well, you got $100 in cash, that's too much money. No one should be having $100 in cash. We're going to go ahead and take that. We're just going to go ahead and take that. They can take your $100. Ain't nothing you can do. Not a damn thing. And they do it. Thousands and thousands of times this has been done. It's a law that's horribly abused, and it's a bad deal. So, like I say, I would not be brokenhearted for Jeff Sessions, and I don't hate the guy. I don't think he's a bad guy, but he simply cannot be effective, and I think he needs to do the right thing and resign. And the only thing is, I'd like to see him do before he resigns is fire Rosenstein. But if he doesn't fire Rosenstein, then when the new Attorney General comes in, I would like to think that he is going to take complete reins of all this stuff back over from Rosenstein, and possibly he will fire Rosenstein. Also, we should be getting Christopher Wray back as in there as FBI director, and hopefully he'll fire the hack McCabe, who should be fired. He should also recuse himself. If anybody should recuse himself or resign, it should be McCabe. He's under 3 investigations himself. So hopefully Christopher Wray will come in, fire McCabe, appoint a good man as his assistant, and hopefully we'll get a new Attorney General who will come in and fire Rosenstein if Sessions doesn't do it on the way out the door. Now, if Sessions, turned around tomorrow and fired Rosenstein, and then hired a new assistant, and he reined in Mueller, then maybe there's some room that we could work with Sessions a little bit. But the way things are now, I just don't see it happening, and it's my prediction that in the next 30 days, probably much less, Sessions will be gone one way or the other. Not to be celebrated, but it's the facts of life. Okay. Well, CNN continues to tank. You didn't think the ratings could get any lower than being beat to death by Yogi Bear and Boo Boo? Well, guess what? The ratings are continuing to drop. They've lost another 0.8 of a point. They used to always be at least a percentage point, at least a 1.5 million or so viewers ahead of MSNBC. They're probably their competition, because they're not really competition for Fox. In fact, CNN and MSNBC together do not get the viewers Fox gets. They're pretty much the competitors. They're fighting for the liberal, progressive viewer. MSNBC's tried to go after the younger progressives, and CNN's trying to hold on to the older, hardline Democrats. But at this point, it looks like MSNBC has now defeated CNN in the last 2 rounds of tracking, and it looks like they're pulling away. They're actually winning, and they're horrible. MSNBC ratings are also very, very low. You gotta remember, these are people on CNN and MSNBC who do not even get 1 million viewers. Not even 1 million viewers. These networks have to be losing a boatload of money, but they don't care because they're owned by billionaires. And this is just like their play toy. It's like some billionaires buy an NFL team, some buy a baseball team, some buy a 300-foot yacht or something. Well, some billionaires like to buy a newspaper or a TV station. And they're big corporates anyway, so they don't care. I mean, they make up a very small percentage of the massive corporation's overall profit. They just want to have a voice in politics. But they have a very tiny little voice, like a mouse. And they're doing a great disservice to themselves, as I've said before, and even worse, that they don't even realize, nor do the Democrats realize, that they're doing a great disservice to the Democratic Party. They're probably as damaging to the Democratic Party as the Democratic Party themselves. They don't even realize the damage that they're doing, but I hope they keep doing it, because it's working for us. Yes, and the Democrat National Committee came up with a new slogan that they're going to try to use to win some elections for a change. You're going to love this. Their new slogan: a better deal, better jobs, better wages, a better future. Oh, man. Well, there's a lot of problems with this. The first problem is that they did some polling on it just to see what Democratic voters thought about this new poll. And these are Democratic voters that they're polling. 86% of Democrats hate it. 86% of Democrats that were polled hate the new slogan. Not only that, a bunch of people and Democrats started posting. Apparently, this is a tagline that's used by Papa John's. a better deal, better jobs, better wages, better future. I don't know, maybe it's a better deal, better pizza, better this, better that, but apparently some people are talking about this being a ripoff of Papa John's slogan. I've never heard Papa John's slogan. You know, I've had the pizza a couple times. It's pretty good, but I'm more of a La Rosa's guy myself. But anyway, it looks like the Democrats hate the slogan. It looks like it might be a ripoff of Papa John's. Now, what would be really funny is that I know the owner of Papa John's is a Republican. He's probably a Trump supporter, probably loves Trump. And what he ought to do is file a lawsuit, because whenever they come up with these slogans, they definitely, you know, license those slogans. And the Democrats, in trying to copy or plagiarize Papa John's slogan, may have violated his rights, copyright, and owning that phrase. If it's too close to what he's got for Papa John's, they could very well be sued. He ought to do it just for publicity and just for the hell of it, just for the fun of it. He is a Republican, probably a Trump supporter, so it'd be funny to see Papa John's sue the Democratic National Committee for ripping off his slogan. The funny part being that even after they ripped off his slogan, 86% of Democrats that were polled hate it. It's stupid. And what makes it even worse is there's not a single Democrat, national Democrat, that actually stands for any of this. You know, it's just, it's amazing. And I have some good news to report, obviously. It's nice to have some good news every now and then. It appears that there are a group of Republicans, it looks like 4 of them, who have signed off on a legal document, a legal motion, I guess they call it. They filed a motion, a legal motion, with the Department of Justice, wanting the Department of Justice to take a look again at the Hillary Clinton email case. They believe that there was obstruction there. Also, they want them looking at the Clinton Foundation pay-for-play, and they want them specifically focused on James Comey and Loretta Lynch, Hillary and Bill Clinton, and they named these people in this particular document that they filed with the Department of Justice. And the 2 leading sponsors of this, there's 4 Republicans. The 2 leaders, though, the ones who actually put this together, would be Arizona Republican Andy Biggs. So if Andy Biggs is your congressman, give him a thumbs up on his Facebook, give him a phone call, send him an email, thank him very much. He's one of those 5 probably members of Congress who are actually legit. Also, good man, Jim Jordan was the other guy who really put this together. Jim Jordan is actually the rep in the district just north of me. So Jim Jordan is a good man. I do like Jim Jordan. And if anybody will try to hold these people accountable, he is one of those people who will. He does sit on the Oversight Committee, and I think he might even be... he's on 2 important committees in the House. I know he's on the Oversight. I'm not sure what other committee he's on, but he's on another committee. It's a pretty important committee. It's looking into a lot of these things. So, anyhow, it looks like they have written this, filed a legal motion. It has been sent to the Department of Justice. They're wanting the Department of Justice to investigate the pay-for-play Clinton Foundation, the obstruction of justice by James Comey and Loretta Lynch, the Justice Department. They're also wanting, it looks like, them to take a very close look at the surveillance, and they want them to take a very close look at Susan Rice. And if you're looking at that, you have to include John Brennan in that. John Brennan was a key central figure player in all this. None of this could have really taken place without John Brennan. This is a CIA thing. You can see that the NSA has not really been playing around too much with this type of stuff. They perform a lot of the actual technical stuff, but the CIA has their own people as well. But this stuff is generated generally from the CIA, and we know all about Mr. Brennan. He is a Hillary puppet. So good for James Comey and Andy Biggs. I mean, good for Jim Jordan and Andy Biggs, putting some pressure on the Department of Justice. Now, again, you have, I assume that this would have to fall onto Rod Rosenstein because Sessions will not act. So it is putting some pressure on Rosenstein, and maybe that's why they're doing it. Maybe they want to do that. And I wouldn't be surprised, because I've heard Jim Jordan interviewed on the Mueller situation, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him filing some sort of a legal memorandum or something, some sort of legal document, also to take a look at Mueller and the massive conflict of interest that he personally has in his investigation. Not to mention the fact that his law firm, 98.2%, I think it was, it's almost 99% of the law firm he worked for donated to Hillary Clinton. Nearly everybody he's put on his posse is a former Clinton donor, supporter, or lawyer that's represented something having to do with the Clinton Foundation or the email scandal or something. So clearly there's a lot of conflict of interest. Jim Jordan has been one of the few people courageous enough to stand up and talk about that. And at some point, the tide is going to have to turn. You can only play this game for so long. If it was producing results, they would probably stay with it. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at an aggregate of polls over the last 3 to 4 months, Donald Trump is sitting at between 40 and 45%. His base has not budged. They have been able to find no criminal activity. In fact, it's so bad that, in fact, the whole Mueller investigation should really just be ended. Because if you actually look at the law on these special prosecutors, the special prosecutors are supposed to be called in when there's clear evidence that a crime has been committed. But in this case, there is no evidence. Clear evidence or no evidence at all. It's not a matter of is it clear evidence or foggy evidence. There's no evidence at all that any crime has been committed. Only accusations. And all based on what we heard from CrowdStrike. They have the server sitting there. They could look at that server and know for sure. But getting away from the server issue for just a moment, getting back to the legal issue, what we actually have is Robert Mueller was appointed by Rosenstein to look for evidence of a crime. To look for evidence of a crime. When in fact, the statute, if you read it, actually says that in order to get a special prosecutor, there must be clear evidence a crime has been committed. But there is no clear evidence of a crime committed, so Mueller was appointed to go look for evidence that there may have been a crime committed. His entire thing should be shut down, just like that. Sessions needs to go. Trump needs to appoint a new attorney general, and on day one, that attorney general needs to step up to the podium and say exactly what I just said. He needs to say, well, as a new attorney general, I have reviewed the law, and I'm going to read the law to you. Let him read the law, and then say, there, that's what the law says. Now, at this point, there has been no evidence that Trump or anyone in his organization, no real evidence, just accusations, that anyone colluded with the Russians or Putin to do anything to affect the elections. Therefore, there is no evidence to justify or warrant legally a special prosecutor. So, I'm terminating the special prosecutor right now. It's over. Go home, Bob. Take your posse with you, and good luck. And there's another thing, if you remember, I mentioned about 6 months ago, I know a lot of people are suggesting that Mueller's headhunting. It certainly looks like he's going headhunting, but it's a very dangerous enterprise he's engaging in, because if you aim for the President of the United States and you miss, and the President survives it, once your investigation is over, you yourself should be expecting some blowback, because you're still talking about the President of the United States. And once he beats your rap, He's not just going to sit back and say, well, I beat Mueller's rap. Well, I'm glad that's over. I'm just going to let it go. No, 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 no. If you knew this guy was headhunting for you and tried to take your head off and he failed, he swung and missed, you're coming after his ass. And there's many things in Mr. Mueller's closet. I will not dig into the old 9/11 issues, but I will tell you that 9/11 occurred under Mr. Mueller. There was a lot of shady, corrupt, probably criminal dealings. Whether or not Trump wants to open up that scab, I don't know. Probably wouldn't do it in his first term, but he gets a second term. Trump may look into 9/11 again. He may say, you know, it's been 20 years. Let's just go back and see what we can learn. Mueller's up to his eyeballs in a lot of things that occurred during 9/11. He's also, if you want to take a look at Mr. Montgomery's 47 hard drives, Robert Mueller was the head of the FBI when a lot of that illegal surveillance was going on. If Trump really wanted to, he could hire a special prosecutor to look into Mueller and probably find a boatload of material to make Mr. Mueller sweat for a while. And that's exactly what I would do. I'd also have the IRS. Well, you can't do that. I think I'd stick the IRS on him, but you really can't do that. But you can certainly look into him and find out if he may have committed some crimes and put him in that position. Let him lawyer up for a change. Maybe he'll get Comey to represent him. Maybe he'll need Brad Bauman to come and do some PR for him. Who knows? Regardless of the fact, that is what's going on today. TowerGate, day 143, July the 26th, Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in, sharing my videos. And if you haven't seen the Trump speech from Youngstown, I'm sure it's on YouTube. In fact, I was just watching it. So, hey, YouTube that Donald Trump Youngstown speech from July the 25th, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy it very much. Thank you all for tuning in. You have a good night. See you. Bye.